Thank you for the warm welcome. It's great to be here. I'm going to try and explain how to ignite your members' superpowers during these turbulent times. I've spent nearly 20 years building communities. I've failed and I've learned so much along the way. What I want to do is try and share some of those experiences with you so you can really accelerate your super member programs wherever you are on your journey. I'm a bit passionate and I get a bit overexcited, so I can only apologise if I talk too fast or speak too much. Please ask questions on the chat. If we've got time, we'll come to them as and when we can and at the end. But I'd love you to have a discussion on any of the content you hear this afternoon on the chat. So let's move forward. Oh, just bear with me one sec. Okay, so as she explained, I started building communities for Cadbury Craft and then Mondelez, and I love it. When it works, the organisation wins, the members win, and the power that this crowd of people can deliver together is incredible, and I just love it. What I want to cover today is just clarify some key language. You may have a different understanding to myself, and I just want to make sure we have a shared understanding as I go through my content. I want to talk about how best to find and support your super members. And then I've got a great example from Thermomix Community Stars, where they have been looking after and caring for their super members. And then finally, a few tips on my recipe for success. So I just started on the chat, perhaps a hashtag that best describes your community today. We're all going through such a turbulent time. It'd be really interesting to hear what you're experiencing. Is it quiet? Or perhaps for me, it's definitely bonding. They're connecting faster than ever before. So to explain a few key language, what we can do is communities help connect people. David's just explaining that. But what our job is as community managers is to help to build that trust, so that tacit knowledge really flows through either the organisation or the community. So our job is to help those social relationships so that they do build that trust, so that knowledge can flow. We need to find what people's pain points are, help them learn and facilitate how to solve those challenges so that they evolve that experience together. So a community for me is best described as a specific group of people who have developed relationships around a strong common interest. And the key word there is a strong common interest. And obviously that goes without saying. A specific group of people, you've got your customer base, but the bit that's often missed is this developed relationships. That's where the trust is built. And sometimes if we just force feed people content and we don't facilitate opportunities for them to engage, then there's no, then they don't become a strong community. So what I want to focus on today, we're all familiar with all of these sorts of words, is those super fans, those vociferous customers in your community. Perhaps they're the annoying ones that have been bombarding you with questions and challenges. What we want to do, I mean, the definition here is they're extreme or obsessive, but perhaps we want to harness that passion and that enthusiasm and direct it to something that can support us and support our community. So maybe when a new product comes out, they're always challenging the product guidelines. Maybe in future opportunities, you could help co-create those guidelines with those super fans. So in essence, the super fans are your super members, but it's what we turn them on to do or what we facilitate or enable to happen. Maybe perhaps to become an ambassador, a representative or a promoter, or an influencer about the product or service by promoting it, or an advocate. All sorts of people can become advocates of your product or your brand. So we need to observe where these people are operating and see if we can build relationships with them and help them support our community and our activities. Most importantly, and this is the key message I want to say for today, they're not just your super users. So many people think, oh, they're the people that just test the community when there's a new feature or a new product. They're not. They're your superheroes. They're going to give you the most brutal, maybe sometimes, but the best advice about what you're experiencing. So you need to treat them like that and give them that opportunity to develop those relationships and not think about them just as users. potentially they're your kryptonite. They are going to help your community or your product fly. So really, if you can, try and change that mindset and think about them as your superheroes. And I'm going to interchange those words throughout this session. So for me, just to explain, if you do look after those superheroes, they will look after you, your community, your brand, and your organization. So they're critically important, and that's why I want to indulge in this topic this morning. Valentino, I don't know if there's any summary there from the hashtag hello, if there's anything you want to share what the group were confirming.
Yes, I've actually got quite a few hashtags. A lot of people hashtagging the word growing, connected, proactive, transition, distracted, I guess by the current situation, vibrant, thriving, and warriors is what I've got so far from the chat.
Great, thanks you, Valentina. And I was just checking the chat, the comment about vociferous. Yeah, I mean, the picture I hope described was they're your chatty customers. They're the ones that perhaps in an offline situation, they would hang around for a bit longer having a cup at the counter, or you'd know them by name by what they're buying or what they're doing. So we need to look out for those in the online situation and see who those chatty customers are. So I hope that clarifies a few points for you all. Now let's work out how best to find them and how to get best to support them. They're the ones that stand out in the crowd, right? They're the ones that perhaps are the first to comment, maybe with the most quality contributions. You can check from your data and maybe develop a criteria that best fits with you and your organization and your brand. The best way is to just observe their interactions and then invite them for a conversation to understand their motivations and interests. I have worked with a lot of companies over the years, and they often want to miss this step. They want to get right on because the algorithm has identified, the perfect people. But for me, this is critical. This is the bit where you find out what their motivations are, what their interests are, and how, where they could be best, where the best mutual relationship could foster. You might find out that they're too hungry for payment perhaps, or things like that, or they're already tied up with other brands. So it's really important to take that time, and that's where that relationship starts to develop. And then you can really signpost them to the different activities that are most relevant if they want to explore to do more. Sometimes, again, the mutual benefits, get a bit muddled, but it needs to be really clear from the beginning that there's mutual benefits both for the members and for the organization. So it can't be, too much on one side or the other. So for members, they need to feel valued, recognized, that they're getting exclusive access to something that they've never had access to before. Maybe training if they want to improve their skills in whatever their interest in the community is. Mostly, I see this most often, they want to increase their social recognition. So, retweetings from the brand and things like that gives them great benefits. But for the organization, they can create the best authentic content, much better than any of us and our marketing departments can do. And they can help other customers. They can really reduce customer support costs if they're facilitated and enabled and supported in that way. They can really help protect your reputation, and they can give you great insights into what their customers think, crowdsourcing expertise, and co-create, as I say, guidelines, FAQs, support materials for your products and services. But it's got to be that balance. It's got to be even. So what we need to do is to really listen and support these superheroes, adapt to their needs. They're going to change, and the group's going to change, and the dynamics are going to change. So what we need to do is give them choices of things to get involved with, create activities that meet their motivations, but keep providing them exclusive access, training and support. I'd love to ask now on the chat, how do you find or support? I know there's lots of mature, experienced people in this session today, so I'd love to hear how you do it. Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second. So now I want to tell you about a community and some super members that are very close to my heart. The Thermomix, you might not be aware, is a kitchen appliance, and it's 20 kitchen appliances in one. It can weigh, chop, blend, mix, grind, grate, cook, steam, whisk. I have to read it all out because there's so many. It's all controlled with a touch screen, and you can look through all the different menu and recipe options. You set it to your machine, and then you just follow it step by step. And it's incredibly helpful. It can help you save time, money. I can make a risotto without stirring it for hours. And you know, as a mother, I love being this sort of 1950s housewife, but in a 2020 world. And it's incredible. It saves money, it's healthy, and all of those great things. It's not that big, funnily, in UK and America, but it is big in lots of other countries. And it has a strong customer community to support that. Even if the platform isn't particularly optimized, they're sharing recipes, they're asking each other for help, and then across all the social and brand platforms as well. There's a recipe database and all those sorts of things. So it's already quite well established. It was operating fine. But what we did in 2018 is we introduced the community stars. We observed the community platforms that we already had, and we noticed that there were a few people that were particularly more active. They were helping solve customer support issues. They were creating great content, thousands of recipes, literally thousands of recipes. So we wanted to reach out with them, first of all, say thank you. And then, as I said at the beginning, sort of explore opportunities that they might want to get involved with. And they've done lots of great things with us together. They've explained that they want to improve their cooking skills and food styling. And in exchange, they've tested new products and services for us and given us, you know, the best feedback, much better than, you know, than if we'd done it ourselves. We've continually to respond to their needs, and we gather ideas for new products and new things in the future. And this was great. We did a mixture of online, and then, as you can see in these pictures, we had opportunities where we'd bring them in and we would support them. We have the Community Stars program in 8 different countries across the globe. So it's great. That was all working fine. And then we continually say thank you. They want this social recognition, so we put them in our newsletters, in our marketing, and all that sort of things. These customer stories are really important. So thank you to all the stars for their great content. So this is more about what's happening now. So it's great. We've had the privilege. We were able to set up this community already. And then we woke up to this crisis, and we, for a moment, sort of wondered, you know, how are we going to do this? We're a direct sales company, so how's it going to work? And before we'd even had time to think, the stars were already uniting together. So obviously this started in China, and with the lockdown there, they were sharing such great recipes. They had Chinese New Year and Valentine's Day, and they were creating some great support to each other. They were then bonding globally and locally for their love of food and cooking, and creating and sharing so many great member-generated content. Because what happens is, even in this time, we're all cooking. We're all still looking after each other. Maybe we haven't got access to the same amount of ingredients, but, you know, we're still sharing that joy. And this community has shared this widely together. So we stopped and we asked them for help. We asked our 200 stars, you know, if they could help even more with sharing their stories and their experience. And boy, did they deliver. They have done so many different authentic campaigns supporting their love of cooking with the Thermomix. One guy even created a music video with the noise that the machine makes, and you can look that up on You'll Never Cook Alone on the internet. So we totally changed our content plan. We couldn't sell, but we wanted to share stories focusing on their experience, and they have, you know, have delivered incredible results. And people that have been sadly, you know, even losing loved ones, have found such heartwarming support from each other in the community. So it is great, and the activity has doubled across all of the platforms, social, the brand communities. It has doubled. The stars contributions have doubled, and you know, we're struggling to support it. So it's fantastic that we have these stars to help us moderate and support the content that's coming through these channels. We're reaching new and existing audiences, and we're supporting all our customers during this time. So I just want to say a little thank you, actually, because there's 14 community champions. They're a little mini internal community of themselves across the globe that have worked relentlessly during this period, and they have listened to their stars, supported their stars, and have helped co-created great content together about their experience with the product. So thank you, all of you, for your support during this time. So another question for the chat would be, I'd be interested to know, what have your members done since this crisis, and what are you doing to support your super members in this? Okay, so the last bit is, what's my recipe for success? I've told you a bit about the language, how to find them, and an example of how the Thermomix community stars got together. So I've already mentioned it, but the emphasis for me is to really listen and care for your community, wherever you are on your journey. I know there's a lot of new people that have just started. You know, even if you've only got a few people, you can see already there'll be some active and some chatty ones that perhaps you can foster a relationship with first. Maybe there's some angry ones. Maybe there's some disappointed ones that you could reach out to and support as well. What you need to know is you can't do this alone. You need to observe these topics and ideas and respond, not follow your old existing content plan. You need to adapt as quickly and as fastly as possible. So the ones that you've identified, build out a stronger relationship with them. Even if you feel you haven't got much time, 10 minutes a day, once a week, reach out to these people individually and maybe explore some ideas that you can connect them together. Would you like to co-create some resources? I mean, CMX did how to convert your ideas online and had hundreds of inputs and created a resource in hours. It's got to be fit and relevant for your audience. And then you've got a key group to ask for help. So the final bit is this sort of acronym, which is, for me, wherever you are, just really try and care for your super members. If you can communicate and connect with them regularly, they're going to stay with you for the duration. If you can adapt and perhaps advocate their contributions and support them, they're going to stay. If they're frustrated, react and respond. They must feel part of the journey. I mean, nothing is stronger than hearing that your idea has not only carried through to being on a shop shelf. Wouldn't that be amazing? And then the final thing is to give them something elite, give them exclusive access, some education and some support, so they feel like all their contributions is balanced with what they're getting privileged access to. So we can all care. We can all care wherever we are on our journey for our super members, and it's going to help our communities thrive. So before I finish, my key learnings to share with you is that all super member programs should be a major part of your marketing or community strategy. A lot of people think, oh, we'll wait till we're more established, but you need to start thinking about it and start thinking how you would best support those chatty and supportive customers. You want to have a clear maybe entrance point, have a different platform or area of the platform where you can engage with that brand and other and connect with them privately. It's completely voluntary, you know, and this is where the balance has to stay. So make sure that you're not taking and saturating your super members with requests and not giving back. And then celebrate them, care for them, and make sure their opinion matters, so that they can be this great source of insights, ideas and feedback. Okay, so there was a lot I went through in a very fast way, but I hope that has given you a little insight on how, first of all, I found some super members, how we've supported them and how we've ignited them to support our community during these challenging times. Valentina, was there any burning questions or some insights perhaps from the audience here today?
Hello. All right, I'm back. Yes, I'm sorry for that. It was a little bit of a delay. We do have one question that was way up in the chat, and that was from Alan. And he says that people love swag. And how do you give swag digitally? Do you have any?
Yeah, I've got a great one, because that's we've because a lot of our content is digital. We created different things to support their food styling and backgrounds. So not everyone, we notice everyone's taking pictures of their food and they've all got the same wooden tabletop or something. So we gave them some backgrounds, marble and things like that, that we could post to them and send. Then we made little logos that they could put into any picture, so it didn't matter what backgrounds that we could do. So I know that, and then we gave obviously the logo they could add to digital pictures, but we've continued giving them swag during this period because they need it for their digital resources. Does that answer Alan's question?
I hope so. Hopefully he will let us know in the chat. We have another question here. I hope I'm saying your name right. Shaket, I think that's right. He would love to know, or she, apologies. He says, I would love to know how to find the first power members for a community I'm launching.
Okay, so that's a tricky one. That's your founding members that often can lead to your super members. And it depends what product or area you're focusing on, but it's people you've already got a relationship with. So if it's the first time you're moving online and maybe you had offline situations, who were the people that came to most of your events or answered your emails if it was newsletters? Try and find there's a core audience in whatever channels you're currently operating in that might be interested to start or at least explore the idea of an online community. If you're starting from complete scratch, I mean, then you need to go out and find where these people are already talking about this interest. That's harder because there's already an established place to talk about that place. But if you can go and observe and learn and see, maybe there's something exclusive that you could discuss in your community that isn't currently happening. And I know, because I know some of the guys that are here today, you know, there are some very unusual communities out there, but they're very specific, and that's what makes a community unique, is it's the the original place to discuss that common interest. So does that help with his question?
I hope so. There's so many questions here. We're not going to be able to get through all of them, but I'm trying to find some of the ones that I think would be great for everyone to listen to your answer. Pixie's saying, how do you build a relationship with product users when your tech solution is still buggy, as the members are treating it as a customer support channel?
Okay. So this is the relationship with product testers. So they're not necessarily community members. They've been identified as testers, right?
It says product users. So
product users. Okay. So if you wanted to identify some super members within that group, you could look to see, who's been the chatty ones, who's been the ones that have found the most bugs, maybe from past tests, maybe ones that have had quality contributions, and maybe reach out to a sample and see if they'd be interested in exploring something privately, and then have a conversation with them. So we used to do at Cadbury, have massive pools of market research and things like that, but there were people that sort of replied and came to similar things, so then we could focus on those people and then foster relationships with a smaller group. The super members, it can't be a big group, it's got to be small and exclusive, but the power of these people, if they're passionately involved, is incredible. So I don't know how many people you have product testing, but if there's a sample that keep coming back and keep testing and the quality of their tests are good, that might be a good way to filter and find a group to start with.
Perfect. Well, we've actually come to the end of time. I wish we could take more questions because there's just so many in the chat, but we have got a tight schedule here. So please, once again, give Nancy a big virtual standing ovation.